He possessed skills so rare that he was immediately hailed as the next Michael Jordan of his generation. At the age of just 11, this young athlete's breathtaking talent and seemingly otherworldly basketball sense took the internet by storm. The entire globe celebrated his prowess, and NBA teams were already attempting to secure him. However, a decade after his rise to fame, things took a grim turn. The Prodigy never reached the world's premier basketball league, leading many to ask what exactly went wrong. This is the tragic downfall of Julian Newman, a family built for basketball. Julian Newman was passionate about basketball, and he was practically raised inside it. In the Newman household, they were a family tradition. His father, Jamie Newman, and his mother, Vivian Gonzalez, both played as point guards on the court back in high school. With parents who understood the game inside out, Julian's path was mapped out long before he could even tie his sneakers. By age 3, Jamie noticed something unusual. His son's fascination with dribbling went far beyond playtime. Instead of small plastic balls and mini hoops, Jamie was given regulation-size equipment. Julian didn't square off against kids his size. He played against older, stronger opponents who forced him to adapt fast. That tough love approach shaped his confidence and skill from the start. Jamie built a disciplined training system that few adults could handle, let alone a child. Each day, Julian shot hundreds of baskets, 100 free throws, 200 floaters, and 200 jump shots, along with endless ball handling and footwork drills. Jamie pushed him to treat practice like competition and mistakes like lessons. But the lessons extended beyond the court. Jamie insisted academics come first, reinforcing that intelligence and character mattered as much as athleticism. Homework before hoops became a golden rule in their home. That mindset helped Julian develop focus and humility to match his growing talent. Meanwhile, Vivian provided balance. Drawing on her own basketball background, she monitored his health and mental well-being, making sure the pressure never overwhelmed him. She kept him grounded, motivated, and emotionally steady, while his father honed his physical game. As Jamie proudly shared, "We needed somebody who could spread the floor, because with his long-range ability with his jump shot, he spreads the floor for everybody else." The making of the youngest star. In 2012, something extraordinary happened. An 11-year-old fifth grader stepped onto a high school varsity basketball court, and he thrived. That kid was Julian Newman. After transferring from public school, Julian joined Downey Christian School in Orlando, a small private school where his dad, Jamie Newman, just happened to be the head coach and the history teacher. Talk about a family discount on both lessons and layups. Standing only 4 feet 5 inches tall and weighing barely 70 pounds, Julian didn't exactly intimidate anyone walking into the gym. But the moment the ball tipped, size stopped mattering. His speed, ball control, and confidence turned heads fast. This was a kid who could thread passes through traffic, drain deep threes, and make defenders look like they needed Wi-Fi to keep up with him. His mom, Vivian, once said, "He's gifted because ever since we put a ball in his hand, he's been dribbling. He's just a gifted kid. It's in him." And honestly, she wasn't exaggerating. Julian seemed born to bounce that ball. He probably dribbled more than he talked. After dropping crazy numbers in middle school, like scoring 91 points in a single game, his dad decided, why not throw my fifth grader into varsity? So there he was, a tiny kid going up against teenagers twice his size. Most kids his age were worried about math homework. Julian was out there breaking ankles on the court. The viral explosion. 2012 was the year the internet broke. Not because of a celebrity scandal, but because an 11-year-old kid barely taller than a traffic cone started crossing up high schoolers. Julian Newman, a fifth grader who decided why wait for puberty to play varsity. Julian played for his dad's team at Downey Christian School, which already sounded suspiciously like a family project. Dad's the coach, son's the star, and mom's probably running the fan club. But then came the game changer. YouTube. A clip of Julian dribbling faster than most people could blink went viral. Before long, it had 3.5 million views. He performed and averaged around 12 points, 11 assists, and 4 steals per game, which is insane for someone who probably still had to ask for permission to stay up late. Next thing you know, the media was losing its mind. Max Preps, Sports Illustrated, the New York Times, and the Huffington Post were all hyping up this pint-sized prodigy like he was the next LeBron James, trapped in a fun-size version. Headlines everywhere screamed, "Fifth grader starts for varsity?" And everyone's reaction was the same. Wait, fifth grader? Then came the talk shows. Good Morning America, Steve Harvey, Ellen. Basically, he was one viral TikTok away from being president of basketball. People weren't just amazed at his scoring, but the fact that this little dude was doing it against players who needed to shave twice a day. Julian went from being a kid with handles to a full-blown brand. Every move, every dribble, every shot, all under the world's spotlight. He wasn't just playing basketball anymore, he was performing. And the internet was watching like it was the NBA Finals, only shorter. Record-breaking feats. From the moment Julian Newman could dribble, he was rewriting record books like he had a personal vendetta against them. By middle school, Julian's stats looked like something out of a video game on rookie mode. In 7th grade, he averaged about 19.8 points, 10.2 assists, and 4.3 rebounds. Not bad for a kid who probably still had to ask permission to go to the bathroom. A year later, as an 8th grader, he was dropping 23.9 points and 11.4 assists a night, which is wild considering most 8th graders are still figuring out how to use deodorant. When Julian Newman hit high school, the hype was already through the roof. The internet had crowned him the next big thing, and he showed up like, bet. He spent most of his early high school career at Downey Christian, where his dad was coach, principal, and probably head of marketing too. Later, for his senior season, Julian transferred to Prodigy Prep, a school his dad literally created. That's right, when no school fits your style, just build your own. Nepo baller energy at its finest. In 2018, the kid made Florida basketball history, breaking Teddy Dupay's long-standing scoring record with 3,873 points. The record had stood since 1998, before Julian was even born. Imagine being the old record holder chilling at home and hearing that some 5'7" 8th grader just erased your legacy. Brutal. That same season, he averaged 34.7 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 4 steals, basically doing everything except selling popcorn during halftime. By his senior year at Prodigy Prep, he was still lighting up scoreboards with 32.3 points per game, making defenders look like traffic cones with shoes. Across his 7-year varsity career, Julian racked up an insane 6,246 points and over 2,200 assists, ranking among the top scorers in U.S. high school history. He also hit more threes than most people take selfies in a year. But with all that glory came some brutal questions. Despite the monster stats, Julian never got those big Division I offers. Critics said his size, 5 feet 7 inches on a good day, and flashy, volume-heavy playstyle might not cut it at higher levels. Basically, the world wondered if Julian was the next Steph Curry, or just the world's most skilled YouTube highlight machine. Either way, the kid had already turned high school basketball into his personal mixtape. Dream of control. As Julian Newman's fame skyrocketed, so did the family's desire to take control of his destiny, like complete control. The solution? If you can't find the perfect school, just build one yourself. And that's exactly what his dad, Jamie Newman, did. Thus, Prodigy Prep, a school made basically for Julian by Julian's dad, starring Julian. Think of it as High School Musical. If the musical were all basketball and your dad ran the whole show, Jamie pitched Prodigy Prep as a future basketball empire, something like IMG Academy, but with more family meetings and fewer NCAA scouts. It was supposed to mix sports, education, and branding. In reality, it ended up being part basketball camp, part YouTube studio, and part homeschool with jump shots. The academics were mostly virtual, so yes, homework probably happened right after posting a new Instagram highlight. During the 2019-20 season, Julian still put up crazy numbers: 32 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. Stat-wise, he looked unstoppable, but the team? Not so much. Between sketchy schedules, limited facilities, and the fact that half their opponents probably had day jobs, Prodigy Prep wasn't exactly striking fear into national powerhouses. Critics had a field day. They said Prodigy Prep blurred the line between education and entertainment. One minute, Julian was hooping. The next, he was filming reality shows like Hello Newmans. It started to feel less like a prep school and more like a reality show with a basketball subplot. In the end, Prodigy Prep gave Julian total control, but also total pressure. The exposure was massive, but so were the doubts. Was this a legit path to the NBA? Or just the most well-documented family pickup game in history? The decline begins. By the time Julian Newman finished high school in 2020, the once explosive hype had started to fizzle out, kind of like a firework that looked epic for 5 seconds and then just disappeared in smoke. The kid who once ruled YouTube highlight reels was now facing the toughest stat line of his career: 0 major college offers. Despite his eye-popping numbers, 6,246 career points and more assists than some entire teams, Julian somehow got skipped over by ESPN and 247 sports rankings. Not ranked too low, just not ranked at all. That's like being a viral singer and not even making the karaoke list. Then came the offers drama. Julian's dad, Jamie Newman, proudly said they had around 15 Division I offers, dropping names like Kansas and Florida, basically basketball royalty. But when reporters asked those schools, they were like, "Julian who?" Turns out most of those offers were probably just friendly emails or a coach saying, "Nice handles, kid," before blocking his number. The real issue, scouts said, was size. Standing around 5 feet 5 inches to 5 feet 7 inches, Julian was not exactly towering over defenders. His game was flashy, but scouts wondered if it would work against actual college-level beasts who bench-press small cars. His highlights looked amazing until you realized half the opponents were basically unpaid extras in the Julian Newman show. Soon, the hype machine started slowing down. The brand deals and social media fame couldn't hide the cold truth. The offers weren't coming, and the reality checks were. Julian admitted later that the fame might have outshone his actual recruiting status. The world had expected the next NBA prodigy, but what they got instead was a viral legend whose fame lasted longer than his DI chances. The harsh reality of competition. As Julian Newman's fame ballooned, so did the level of competition, and reality started hitting harder than a full-court press. It's one thing to look unstoppable when you're crossing up local kids who still forget their gym shoes. The real uh-oh moment came when Julian's team, Downey Christian, faced Spire Institute, led by none other than LaMelo Ball. The result? Spire absolutely demolished them 117-80. Newman scored just 15 points, which sure sounds decent, until you realize LaMelo's team treated the game like a layup drill. It was less a basketball game and more a live tutorial titled Why Teamwork Matters. Then came the IMG Academy matchup, and oh boy, that was a straight-up massacre. The final score? 97-37. That's not a loss, that's a crime scene. IMG was taller, faster, and more organized. It was basically the Avengers versus one kid trying to solo the mission. Julian's flashy handles couldn't save him from the cold, hard truth. Highlights don't help when the other team has a bench full of future DI athletes. These games exposed what scouts were already whispering. Newman's size and defense weren't cutting it. He could score on smaller teams, but against elite squads? His shots got blocked faster than his dad's DMs to college recruiters. And those viral stepbacks? Suddenly it looked more like desperate prayers. In short, those beatdowns were more than losses. They were wake-up calls. The next Jordan nickname? Yeah, it started sounding more like a punchline than a prophecy. The Flamboyant downfall. Julian Newman's game was pure entertainment. With step-backs, ankle-breaking crossovers, and deep threes from the school parking lot, the man played like every game was filmed for TikTok. On YouTube, he looked like a cheat code. But when the highlight lights dimmed, scouts started asking the real question. Is he trying to win games? Or just views? Julian's biggest weakness wasn't skill, it was decision-making. Dude played like a mixtape come to life. Instead of running plays or passing to open teammates, he'd dribble for 20 seconds, spin twice and take a fadeaway three while double-teamed, and somehow believe that was team offense. Teammates even complained that Julian shoots at least half his team's possessions. Basically, if you passed him the ball, you might as well start jogging back on defense. That ball wasn't coming back. And then came the reality TV era. Overtime launched a show called Hello Newmans, which, as the producers described, two obsessive parents building a clothing brand, a son whose basketball skills made him a viral star at 11, and a daughter who's one of the best hoopers in the country. Basically, it was keeping up with the Newmans, a mix of basketball, branding, and family drama. It boosted their fame, sure, but also made people wonder if the hoop dreams had turned into a full-time marketing campaign. No one denies Julian's talent. His handles, confidence, and flair were elite. But scouts stopped asking, can he score? And started asking, can he help anyone else score? Turns out, Flash looks great on camera, not so much on the scoreboard. Physical limitations and temper issues. If there's one thing people never stop talking about with Julian Newman, it's his height. Officially listed somewhere between 5 feet 5 inches and 5 feet 7 inches, depending on who's measuring, and how generous they're feeling. Julian isn't exactly built like your typical college guard. In a sport where most players look like Greek statues, Julian's closer to the action figure version. Scouts have long pointed out the obvious. Being small makes life tough on the court. Finishing at the rim? Good luck when every defender looks like a skyscraper with arms. Contesting shots? He'd probably need a step stool. Holding ground in physical matchups? Even he admitted that he needed to get stronger, which is basketball speak for hit the gym, bro. Now, about those temper rumors, fans online have spread stories about Julian's fiery side, including one wild chair incident. But nothing's ever been proven. What is real, though, is his on-court frustration. When things didn't go his way, he looked like a cartoon kettle ready to blow. Trash talk? He's got plenty. But sometimes it looked like the anger played defense better than he did. Over the years, Julian himself has admitted that early fame messed with his mindset. Imagine being treated like a basketball god at age 11, only to realize by 20 that scouts aren't calling anymore. That'll humble anyone. Reporters have noticed that under pressure, his shot selection gets wilder, and his confidence can dip faster than his shooting percentage on a bad night. So yeah, Julian's skills were real, but the combo of size issues plus emotional slip-ups kept him from leveling up. The talent was there. The toolbox just didn't come with enough tools for the next floor. Reinvention attempts. When the basketball dream started fizzling out with no college offers, no NBA scouts knocking, not even a G League text, Julian Newman decided to pivot. And by pivot, we mean spin harder than his crossovers ever did. The new goal? Stay famous no matter what game he's playing. He also popped up in Born Ready, a YouTube docuseries that reminded everyone of his glory days. Back when he was the internet's favorite kid prodigy and not the internet's favorite what happened question. But Julian didn't stop there. He jumped into boxing. Yes, you read that right. From crossing defenders to throwing punches, he fought in exhibition matches against guys like Gio Wise and Christian Beatrice, Oblivion, and won both. Not bad for a guy whose biggest fight used to be against taller defenders. In the end, Julian's not chasing championships anymore. He's chasing clicks, views, and visibility. Some fans call it resilience. Others call it the influencer era of mid-tier basketball dreams. Either way, he's still in the spotlight, just not the one he initially trained for. Still chasing the dream. Fast forward to 2025, and Julian Newman is now 24 years old, still chasing the same dream he had when he was a kid, making it big in basketball. The only difference? Back then, everyone thought he'd be in the NBA by now. Today, he's in Las Vegas, still dribbling, still training, still posting motivational quotes, and still trying to prove the haters wrong, even though the haters might have a minor point. After leaving Orlando, Julian set up shop in Vegas, the city where anything can happen, especially for people who refuse to give up. He's busy juggling basketball training, content creation, and pushing his family's brand, Prodigy. Scroll through his Instagram and you'll see him showing off merch, doing endless dribbling drills and captioning it with stuff like locked in, when in reality it looks like what's locked in is the camera angle. On the basketball side, things have been, let's say, humbling. In 2023, Julian joined Bethesda University, a small NCCAA Division I school. His stats were modest, averaging around 1.9 points per game. Yes, the same guy who once dropped 91 points in middle school is now struggling to score 2 in college. Life really said, "Welcome to reality, young man." But give him credit, Julian hasn't quit. He still talks about making the NBA or playing overseas, and he's been building up his YouTube channel with shows like Beat Julian Newman. If basketball doesn't work out, he's ready to pivot to being an influencer or entrepreneur. At this point, Julian's story feels like a mix of motivation and meme. He's proof that early fame doesn't guarantee long-term success, but also that persistence is its own kind of victory. He might not be in the league, but he's still in the game, even if most of it happens online. So, the kid who went from viral prodigy to internet mystery. Love him or roast him, you can't deny he made basketball entertaining. What do you think? Did fame help or hurt his career? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more crazy basketball stories.